I was in a very unhappy place, and I'm basically a very happy person. And so I knew that I had to, whatever I was going to search for, I need to find it myself. Not just find it myself, but I had to go inside and figure out why am I at this stage in my life not feeling fulfilled, not feeling joyful. And I was very fortunate at the time that I met a woman who I had no idea that it was going to turn into a business.
Passion, inspiration, determination. Are you ready to jump into a better life? Welcome to our program, Jump Into It. Welcome to Jump Into It, a podcast and live show to help women jump into a better life. Whether it's work, life, or play, we're here to help you to be inspired, to grow, and be the best that you can be. We're very excited today on this podcast to be able to talk to you about health and wellness, which is a common topic and a challenge that many of us are trying to uncover. How do we live a more fulfilling life in health and wellness? And today with us to talk about it is Permelia Perham, who is the founder of the Healing Institute. She'll walk through her journey, what she has done personally and professionally, and how she's built up a very successful business. But first, let me introduce Anita Booth, who is also one of the co-hosts, that's going to talk about this two-sided marketplace that Permelia has established. Anita, what are your thoughts?
Hi, yes, thank you. And hi, Permelia. We're excited to hear a bit more about you and your wellness platform. But when I think about these double-sided platforms, they're really quite exciting. It's a platform bringing together like-minded people that are looking to do an exchange of some sort. And in this instance, we're talking about practitioners and, people looking for a specific kind of healing. And I'm going to very much enjoy the conversation on the spiritual side of things. But when I think about the marketing side from a double-sided platform, what I think is that I think about Amazon, I think about Etsy, Airbnb, and those platforms that are currently exploding and really taking over a lot of market share in the e-commerce space. And so for entrepreneurs that are listening and thinking about whether this might be something good for them, one of the biggest, I think benefits of these platforms is that it, breaks the geographic barriers. We get rid of the bricks and mortars as the digital world helps us do. We can reach people around the world. It's not restricted to one city or one country, and the barriers to entry are typically lower. So it is an interesting platform to hear more about, and I certainly think Permelia's probably got some great examples of how she's been working with the platform, and maybe can share with our listeners some of her learnings. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Gabrielle and Anita, for the opportunity to be on the Jump Into It. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just for our listeners who may not be familiar with the term two-sided platform, what that is taking the buyer and the seller and joining them together. And the platform enables that transaction to happen. So when Anita talks about barriers with geography or bricks and mortars, it is really in that internet and digital space. And what's so amazing, what Permelia has done, is that it's not just a buyer and seller, it's now the patient and the healer that are coming together to be able to support one another, for the healer to help the patient to have a more fulfilling life. So this is a very dynamic platform. And so as to get started, Permelia, which we are very excited to have you here, is can you share your journey in the world of transformative wellness platforms? And maybe let's start with just your journey and how you got there in building this platform. What were the things that got you to where you are today?
Well, thank you so much for that question and that introduction. So I would say my journey specifically started over 20 years ago. I was in a very unhappy place, and I'm basically a very happy person. And so I knew that I had to whatever I was going to search for, I need to find it myself. Not just find it myself, but I had to go inside and figure out, okay, why am I at this stage in my life not feeling fulfilled, not feeling joyful? And I was very, very fortunate at the time that I met a woman who really taught me all about energy and energy healing. And I just was studying under with her. I had no idea that it was going to turn into a business. I just wanted those techniques that she was teaching me, how to balance my chakras, how to realign any beliefs that weren't fitting for me anymore. I wanted to delve into those kinds of energy pieces so that I was going to feel happier and more fulfilled. I was very, very fortunate that I was able to study under her for 8 years. And then I moved to Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, for those of you that may not know. And when I was going to leave the city where I had lived for 30 years, I was telling her how I was a little upset that I was not going to be able to study with her anymore. She was very, very intuitive. She said to me, "No, you're going to be doing something like this." I went, "Excuse me, I'm going to what?" But what happened was, because I was more joyful and I had that inside me, it just came out. So when I was moved to my new city, I was working in a resort, and I was just really, really, I loved my job. I loved what I was doing. And it was just part of who I was. And so my coworkers were asking me what was going on with me, because they seemed to think that I was way too happy. And I just explained to them that I did an energy balance before I came to work. Well, they had no idea what that was all about. And so it evolved that, because of who I was from the inside out, my coworkers wanted to know how to do that. So I got in touch with my teacher and I said, "Well, your prediction's coming true. So now what do I do?" And she very generously gave me permission to use all of what she had taught me. And that's how I started. I just started teaching out of my home, actually, and then was able to help other people feel more in tune with who they are. That led to me learning some more modalities. One of which is called the body code, which, if anybody hasn't heard of it, it was created by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And I'm certified in the emotion code and the body code. The emotion code is kind of the first level. The body code is looking at everything that's going on in the body and looking at some emotions that we might have trapped in our subconscious. Now, we're not taught about that. We're not taught about how our subconscious really is running the show. And I always use the analogy of an iceberg. So what's above the water is what's in our conscious brain, and what's below the water is in our subconscious. And so we're looking at those emotions that we may have inherited. There's one called prenatal, which means something was going on with your mother when she was pregnant with you, and you got the trapped emotion. I never think that's fair, but it's part of the whole process. And so by working with clients and teaching them about these emotions that they can actually release out of the subconscious, that just was I'm now on a healing journey, or helping others to heal. And I was looking around my small city where I live and was thinking that I would have a building of some kind for other practitioners. Now, just to give everybody the parameters of when that was, it was in the fall of 2019. So now we know what happened in 2020. And then the next thing I know, I'm on all these amazing online networking platforms. And I was like, oh, wow. And I'm meeting holistic practitioners all over the world. So that's how the Healing Institute, developed, mainly just from knowing how important healing is, just for my own self and for people that I was helping, and then realizing we really need to heal the world. So let's make that happen, and let's have a bigger impact. So that's how the Healing Institute came about.
Wow. And Permelia, what were you doing before? You said that you went to work at a resort and you were so what were you doing before the moving to becoming an actual healer and building the institute?
Well, I've had many careers,
Okay.
but worked for the Canadian federal government for 25 years on all different capacities. When
Oh,
I moved here to Vancouver Island, there's lots of resorts, and I had never worked in the serving industry, but of course I'd had an event planning company, and so I said, I'd like to kind of be the hostess in the dining room of this really nice
okay,
resort.
okay, all right. Okay. So
So
that's interesting. Okay,
yeah,
so I was just curious because our listeners are going to wonder, like, where did you start to where you are today? And so it's really saying you could start from many different careers and many different interests. And then, so those aren't blocks to getting to wherever you want to go. It's just really, everybody has their own journey to get there. So thank you for sharing that.
you're welcome.
Right.
So, Permelia, I'm interested to hear a little bit more how the dynamics of the platform and well, I know a little bit about how it works, but explain to our listeners around, how does the match happen? What happens? I'm not feeling well, I'm unhappy, whatever, is ailing me. I'm gonna, go onto your platform. Is there some sort of quiz that, if you a questionnaire that you go through? Walk us through a little bit about how that platform works and how one gets matched with, the right practitioner.
Well, as you mentioned, Anita, it is twofold, right? So presently we have 10 practitioners representing 7 countries. My vision is to make that much bigger, of course, because we want to grow globally. And then the clients that are coming to the platform, there's a couple of ways for them to engage with practitioners. So we do have a search bar that's right on the very top of the first page. So anything that you are having an issue with, it could be sleep, it could be stress, it could be anxiety. You could just type that word in, and when you hit the search bar, the practitioners that work with that come up. So the directory of practitioners pops up, and then you can connect. You can look at their profile. There's a book now button. All of the practitioners have a complimentary session so that you can just have a consultation with them and find out. As we all know, in the healing realm, and most of our practitioners on the site have more than one modality. So you have to have a conversation with them to find out what is the best modality. And I want people to know as well that as practitioners, we are a community. We are complementary and a community, and we collaborate. So it's one-stop shopping for the client. So when they come to the Healing Institute, let's say they decided, oh, I think I might like to check in with Permelia and see what body code is all about. Well, then I would do a session with them, and then what will happen is I would then refer them to other practitioners if that I thought that they would be able to benefit from. So we as practitioners are a community. We're very much connected to each other. And although each one of the practitioners has their own business, they are using the Healing Institute as that online, virtual, worldwide part of their company, so that we can reach more people. There's
So how do
another
the
part.
practitioners find you? So how do you go about you mentioned 7 and you want to add more to your roster? Do you do a call? Do you push
Yeah, we
out?
have we have 10 practitioners right now representing 7 countries.
Oh,
So
7 countries, thank you.
I'm on lots of online networking. I do lots of networking, and that's how I met Gabrielle. And so I'm always interviewing practitioners. We will have a Zoom. I have an onboarding process that I take practitioners through, because it has to be a win for everybody. That's one of my values. It has to be a win for the practitioner, obviously, to be on the site, win for the client, and the win for the company. So I have an onboarding questionnaire I send them after we have a Zoom call. then they send that back. Then we have another one. We go through all the parameters of what it means to be on the platform as a practitioner. And if they agree, then we have a little agreement that we put together, and away we go. So
So what kind of practitioners are they? Like, we're not talking doctors, we're not talking
No.
medical doctors here,
No.
right? So can you, are they mostly just like, the modality Utah body code? What would be like Reiki?
Yeah, we have Reiki.
Reiki.
One of our practitioners from South Africa does a bioenergetic therapy that she can
Okay.
do over Zoom. We have counselors. We have coaches on all men coaches, women coaches on all different areas of life that they can be that they're part of. We have a parent and life coach who also does education for the school system. So really, it's a very very wide area of people that can come on that are part of the platform. And I'm looking for more. And there's no restriction, because we're looking at being worldwide. So if I have a hypnotherapist that, say, is on the West Coast of North America, and there's another hypnotherapist on the East Coast, great. Or if I have a hypnotherapist in Germany, that's even better because of the time zone difference. So then we can meet the needs of clients that are coming to the website.
And as a businesswoman, I have to ask you, what's the business model? How do you make money with this platform?
Well, the practitioners, it's a membership-based platform.
Okay.
So the practitioners
Okay.
pay a monthly membership. And
Yeah.
also, although this really just helps with keeping the website up and running, so whatever the practitioners want to charge, I'm okay with what they're charging. There is a 15% admin fee. So the process is that when the clients book with the practitioners, the money goes into the Healing Institute bank account, and then we pay out the practitioners
Okay.
less the 15%.
So it's two. So it's a 15% admin fee and then a membership fee.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, excellent. So Permelia, tell me a little bit more about how the platform came, like what was the impetus for you to choose this a wellness platform? Because of the way the delivery is, I understand that piece. But I am curious to hear a bit more about how the intersection between the technology is evolving and then the needs of the client. And so can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I was very fortunate that I also, the company that designed the website, we designed it together. And the company is a local company, and they're also a marketing company as well as a website design company. So we were able to set up the platform, looking at the idea of clients, for the most part, self-identifying what was the modality they wanted, what was the practitioner what's their issue, what is their pain point, what would they like to solve. So that would be the way of them being then there's 5 categories: energy healing, emotional healing, integrated healing, therapies, and coaching. And under each one of those categories on the website are the modalities. So you could either put in as I mentioned earlier, your issue in the search bar, or you can come and look under these different categories, click on the modality. Conscious breathing, for example. We have an amazing practitioner that does a conscious breathing. So click on that modality, and that practitioner, then you can connect with them.
So what is the most popular, like, this is fairly new for a lot of people,
Yes.
because we're also focused on Western medicine, and then this is opening up to a different approach to healing. What have you, like, I'm trying to, when did you launch the platform? About
Just a little over a year ago.
Oh, okay, so it's really new.
We're very
Okay.
new. Yeah,
All
we're
right,
very
all
new.
right. Okay, so it's still a baby.
Still a baby. Yeah.
Going through labor pains. Okay. So have you seen a trend in what people are seeking or comfortable in for hiring and healing? Is there any like is there anything there around trends, or what's the most popular that people are interested in? What's the most popular modalities that people are seeking out to heal, or their biggest pain that they're seeking out to get healed?
Yeah, mostly they're looking for their issues are sleep. Everybody doesn't
Oh, that's
seems to be
interesting. Okay, yeah,
sleep is a big issue.
yeah.
And so, a number of practitioners, the different modalities they do, assist with sleep. We are getting some around anxiety and stress, and also some around, some actual physical pain. But those are kind of the major things that people are looking for. And then again, as I said, as a community of practitioners, somebody comes to us, and if we're just doing a complimentary consultation, and that we don't think it's a fit for us, then we'll recommend another practitioner.
Can somebody actually hire you on the platform too?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on the platform. Yes.
Maybe I'm getting a little off topic, but it's interesting because I've also had the challenge about sleep, and I use a monitor and a tracker to determine, my sleep patterns and when I'm deep in the REM. And I found that, self-awareness is the first stage to being able to overcome some issues. But with sleep, what are your recommendations? Like if somebody has a problem with sleep?
Well, definitely our practitioner that works on the conscious breathing, because she's got a beautiful conscious breathing app that people can attach to their phone, and it just puts you right to sleep. You can play it at night when you're in bed. It puts you right to sleep. And then other kinds of, we want to look at people having a sleep issue. Maybe there's an emotion that needs to be released, or maybe we need to look at some counseling. So we have a wonderful registered clinical counselor that's part of the platform, and she really looks at where that person is and where they're coming from and what has gone on, what kind of trauma maybe they've had in their past, or in their maybe in their youth or in their childhood, and then healing those kinds of things. Putting in place self-care, which is huge because people don't do that. I don't know where we got off the track of looking after ourselves, but self-care is so important. And the techniques, there's many techniques of self-care, of the different things that you can do so that you're feeling you're taking care of yourself. So then you can look after your family. But that is all very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Permelia, I'm curious also around the reception that you've received. I know we were talking before we jumped into it, and you mentioned we all recognize this is not mainstream mainstream as, of course, as Gabriela said, Western medicine. And I'm curious how the reception has been. Are you having to do a lot of education? Because you did say, oh, they can come in and choose the modality, and I would think that a lot of people may not even understand what a modality is, the term modality. And so do you spend a lot of time in education mode, or creating
Well,
content and information?
that's what our consultations are all about, is being able to educate people and let people know exactly if this is the modality that they wanted to use, then, how that would work for them. Honestly, I've got amazing reception. People just think this is, they love the concept. They love the concept that it's virtual, it's online, we're reaching a large audience. People really understand that, the world does need to be healed, and we are trying to benefit and get the word out to people and get the word out to other countries about how they can access the Healing Institute and how they can access the practitioners on the Healing Institute. So everyone I talk to thinks it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So it's, we're young, we're fairly new, and so it's just taking not a, I should say, a little more time than I would have liked for it to grow, but it's going to grow the way it's going to grow, and people are going to find out about us, and I'm forever grateful for being able to be on your podcast and talk about it, so we can reach a larger audience and let people know we exist.
So that, that brings up a really good thing, because we've always used bricks and mortars and that face to face to help. It's part of almost that healing process, like that you have somebody in the room with you that gives you that sense of calmness or reassurance, and that they care. And we moved our world to our relationships to being way more virtual, which in some ways isolates us more than makes us feel that we're connected. And so overlapping that with this wellness and trying healing, I mean, does it work as effectively when we're not in the same room with the person that's healing us?
Well, apparently it does, because when I was doing my research for my business plan, there is a research company called Hero Digital, and they had a great statistic, which is on my website because I wanted to support that, because they were supporting me, that 83% of people were open to doing online healing and online virtual modalities or medical model. So it's changed a lot. I think the pandemic really helped us change.
Yeah.
I don't know where you ladies live, but here on Vancouver Island, where I live, we hardly have any doctors. We had a whole generation of doctors who retired. I personally don't have a doctor. We have something called telehealth, and so I make my appointments through telehealth if I need something. And people are actually being more open to the fact that
It's really the convenience factor, but and I totally get that. And thank you for clarifying about the 83%. But it's still not. I'm not sure the question got answered, though, because it's really around: can we heal as quickly or as effectively when it's virtual versus the person in the room? I can understand that people are open to it, but is it the same healing experience? And maybe there isn't anything out there that can deny it or support it.
I'd like to jump in on this one because if you don't mind, Permelia, I think my background over myself, 20 years or 12 years, the last 12 years doing energy healing and working with a lot of different clients with, cancer and really quite devastating illnesses. And you know this too, Gabrielle. We've worked many times with different healers on, virtually. You have, I have, and the kinds of things I think people are coming for, although many have some similarities around sleep patterns and this and that, I think it really is up, I don't think it's an easy question to answer because everybody's capability of healing is different. And they're each on their own journey. And so to say, oh, doing it online versus doing it in person, give you more or less benefit. Personally, being in person with someone is obviously a bit more, hands-on, that connection in anything we do, networking, if we're together, virtual Zoom is great, but we always love being in person. So I think the element of, hey, if you could do a healing session in person, that is great. And I think you get tremendous benefits. But if you don't have the ability to do it in person, this is what I think is the opportunity here. And that's the breaking of the barriers, that not everybody has that same capability of, getting to the place and finding the right practitioner and all that. And so the virtual way is a great way to break those barriers and still receive a lot of the similar benefits I think that you would do in person. But I still am a believer of, I'd like to see my practitioner, and all the years that I did energy healing, I loved going in person. But I understand that that's where the trends and things are evolving, the way the world is going and the need for global healing. I think this is a really cool and interesting way to go about it and provide opportunities to help on a different in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Very
if you think about it, when I had a doctor, he gave me 10 minutes. I had one question. I could only ask him one question. I didn't really get, all he wanted to do was throw a medication at me.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're actually doing something virtual, we've got more time, and I certainly have got better care through my telehealth than I ever did through my seeing this doctor in person. So, I think we've done a bit of a paradigm shift since the pandemic, in that we realize we have to be more responsible for our own health. We need to, we need to take care of ourselves. We're responsible. Let's not give our power away, which I believe we've done for many, many years, thinking that that doctor knew more because, they should have known more because they went to school for a long time. However, they only know one medical system. They don't know about, or they're not trained, and for the most part, they don't learn that there's another healing area that we can look at, from the energy healing and the emotional healing. They don't take that into consideration. It's just all physical. So I actually think that we're in a better place now, because I think we've taken on, we realize that we have to be more concerned about our health. Whether you decide that you're going to, I just recently went up to visit my son in Edmonton, and I wore a mask on the airplane and in the airport because I didn't want to get sick. I would have never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you just, we are looking at being more responsible overall. Not to say, Anita, I totally agree with you. I have clients I see in person, and I love that. But the ones that I can see
The
over
personal
Zoom,
touch,
yeah,
right, is always nice. But in different modalities offer different, back to, some of them is about the touch, and others is a lot about, the energy exchange. And I believe, as you do, that the energy exchange can happen from miles, thousands of miles away. And I've practiced it. I've seen it. I've seen, have conversations around how people feel afterwards. So no, there's certainly, this is definitely an area people should be exploring to open up their, as you said, their possibilities and their options, because I just believe Western medicine now is the same that you both have said. You end up, they just try to give you medication for the ailment at hand, and we forget there's something much more. It could be much deeper that's causing the ailment. Oh, I've got this really bad rash. It's been lasting, for a few days, and automatically it's allergies, or take this or do that. And hey, maybe you had a lot of anxiety the week before, and that's why it's manifesting. And if people would recognize their own body talking to them, and I think women are probably doing a little bit better of a job understanding their body signals than men do. So, women, aches or pains, and they last a long time. Women are more probably, and maybe you can answer that if you see the same, but I think women are more apt to raise their hand and say, oh, I don't feel well. I want to go and I speak to someone, whether that's Western
Or I want to
doctor.
find out why. Why is it
I
that
want to find out
I'm
why,
not
right?
feeling well?
Yeah.
And I want to make the point that, Western medicine has really only ever looked at the symptom. They've not ever, looked at the root cause. And that's one thing that we do on the Healing Institute platform is our practitioners are looking for the root cause. What's causing that pain? What's causing that mental anguish? What's causing that physical stress? What is causing that emotional upset? We want to definitely find out what the root cause is. And it
I
could
mean,
be many things.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to put it slightly a disclaimer on it that we're not recommending one over the other here.
Exactly.
It's really,
Yeah.
it's a personal choice, and
Absolutely.
sometimes it is the drug that is going to
Yes.
to move you,
Yes.
or it's going, if you got cancer, whatever it is. So it's not, one or the other. But I do want to share a personal story as well around that. Is that I did. I had gone through a very stressful period. Nita intimately knows about it. And I did, was introduced to a distant energy healer. So I used her for a number of times, and it was amazing. So she really took me from to being extremely calm, and she released a lot of anxiousness, and and she lives in a different city. So after I had all this connection and healing with her, and a number of sessions, I went to the city to meet with her to see who she was, right? I mean, I'm going that way anyway. I'm going to meet with her, and I opened the door. We looked at each other, and I was shocked that this was the same person that did the energy, because I did not connect with her energy at all. So
In person,
in person,
you
right?
did, yeah,
In
but you
person,
loved her. You
right?
loved her, so that's
Yeah, but let me
interesting.
finish telling the story.
Yeah.
So we sat down, we had tea, we were very cordial with each other. And then she told me, well, I do all my energy healing in this room. And I said, okay, well, she said, I never share it with anyone. I never share it with, this is a personal space. The way she worked on it is that she saw me as a hologram in this room, and she did the energy healing. So she took me up. She said, I never show anybody. This is like, like I'm feeling super special, right? So I'm going into this room. And I walked into this room, and she had all these crystals, and she had, her chimes, and she had all these different things. And when I went into the room, it blew me away, because that was the energy that she connected with in the healing. And I go, oh my God, now I feel you. I didn't feel her when she came to the door and was
Interesting.
sitting there, but when it came into that frequency of how she healed, and in that space, is when I said, oh my God, there you are, right? It's like that lost
Very nice.
friend that I had connected to over many, many sessions. So I wanted to share that, because and I mean, I'm not into any modality. I have taken Reiki, but it's really that you go to a different space to do the healing. And so when you see that person walking down the street, or in a restaurant, however the meeting, they're not connecting in that space, that healing, warm, safe space. So
Well,
that.
I'm glad you explained, you gave us that example, because that's a really good example about how energy moves for distance. Right?
Yeah.
So, like our practitioner that we have in South Africa, she has clients all over the world, and the energy moves, and we can do it over Zoom. So that's what I think we want people to realize, that this is a new way of looking at health and wellness.
Yeah. And there's a level of faith there, because it wasn't on Zoom. It was, you lay there for an hour, and she's remotely, and you're thinking, well, she could be shopping, or TV, whatever, and who know, right? But you do go into this you do sense something, and at the end of it, at least for me, a personal experience, is that I did feel that something had moved, and I did have visions that I normally would not have had, that awoke me to some, previous trauma that I've had and connections. So it is, it is a very powerful, it can be a very powerful experience, and geography and distance doesn't necessarily have to impact that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So I wondered, I know I was the devil's advocate
good.
about challenging it, but I do have personal experience that says it works.
Yeah,
Well,
we have to trust, we have to trust
Yeah.
the old regime is not working anymore. So we have to trust the new, what is now becoming more mainstream, which
Or
is
be open
online.
to it. Be
And
open to it. Maybe not trust
yeah,
right
be open
away,
to it.
right? Because
Absolutely.
trust is earned in the sense that, you have
Try it
to,
out. Yeah.
right? Try it out. I think that's an important part to share is you have to do your research a little bit around, what you are trying to solve. You have to be open to something that is not, to the standard practice. These aren't just regular common concepts for many. So I do think there's a learning curve, but I do think there's so much opportunity for people to explore, and not to be afraid that if you open yourself up to receive some of these other avenues of healing, I think the world would be much better, much better, in a much better place.
I
So
mean, there are people, and I have experienced it where they exploit people's vulnerabilities, and it's really, really sad.
And that's very true.
Right?
I think
Yeah.
what Anita said about doing your research, finding out, just exactly who this person is. You don't want to hop into doing something when spending a whole bunch of money with someone that you really don't know what they do, or you haven't researched them.
Yeah.
We have, and that's always good to check out what's happening with that person and with that modality and with that and with that practitioner, and what are their the testimonials that people have for them. So
So
that's
that's a
really
really good question. I know we're wrapping up soon, but how do you screen somebody out, that wants to come and say, "Hey, I'm a healer"? How do you make sure that they're actually a
well.
healer?
My onboarding questionnaire is quite detailed. So
Okay.
I get I've usually met this person over Zoom 2 or 3 or 4 times. When I get their information back, I ask them for testimonials from their clients. I ask them for, their values. What did they value? And I have a list, that they can choose from. And so you know, it's a lot of intuition. I have to admit that I rely on my intuition. If I just don't feel like this person's a fit, then they're not, then they don't get in. But if I do feel that they're a fit and I love their modality and certainly what they have to offer the clients, then I think it's beneficial for them to come in.
Do you ever
Yeah.
interview their clients to see if what they did is effective or beneficial?
I haven't interviewed the clients, no. We're looking at getting some client testimonials,
Mhm.
videos for the website, so
Yeah,
people will see that. Yeah.
very good. Okay. So I guess, one of the last questions, I don't know if Anita, you want to ask her.
Well, absolutely. It's the last question. But no, no joke aside, no joking aside. We'd love for you to share a piece of advice for someone, our listeners who are looking, again, to as an entrepreneur, maybe to jump into something, a new business, a better life. What is one piece of advice you could leave with our audience?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. First and foremost, if you are thinking of a new business, or you've got a new business plan, or you're looking at a different type of career that you've ever done before, and I think all three of us can attest to the fact that we've had very many different careers, make sure that it's really something you want to do. You have to really think, you have to really connect with your heart. Make sure that it is definitely something that you're not just going to get tired of it in a couple of months, because as we all know, as entrepreneurs, we have to really be have perseverance and really stick to what we want. So make sure that you really want this, or that you, whatever the service is that you are going to offer to the world, is really, that you feel it's beneficial. And then I would also say, surround yourself with people that really support you. Make sure that you have those people on your back, for your back, or with your back, because it's fairly, it can be very, lonely out there in the entrepreneurial world. And so if you have a really amazing idea, then make sure, get a really good business coach. I had an amazing business coach when I first started, who was a visionary. So she could really see where we wanted to go and really help me develop the business plan, and and the marketing plan, and how we wanted to show up in the world. Yeah, and ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That's my advice.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Excellent advice. So our next show will have thank you, first, Permelia. Thank you again for being an amazing guest on Jump Into It. I learned a lot more about wellness and how, and and how to grow a business and a platform to be able to reach out and as you said, to inspire more self-care, and everybody deserves to be healthy. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah.
Okay.
So our next show will have another fabulous guest whose journey is sure to inspire you. To learn more, join our Jump Into It Facebook page, Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also listen to Jump Into It on our podcast on your favorite platform. We are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple TV, to name a few. With the courage and knowledge to bring your ideas to life, get ready to jump into it. Thank you for listening.
Get ready to jump into it.